Welcome, 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 welcome. It's time now once again for Helping Hand. Our show this time is called An Old School Friend. Angie Diaz worked many jobs after coming to America as a younger woman. She raised a family and was married for over 42 years. Her life was pretty happy, fairly exciting. After her husband passed, however, her kids being grown up, they moved out. So, she found herself alone, of course. She had to take care of everything. As she got older, she realized that her living expenses were increasing each month. Her medical and prescription costs went up. She was on a fixed income. So, as she saw her savings being spent, she decided to cut back on a thing here and a thing there. Like everybody who's living on a budget, she worked to spend her money as wisely as could be. Her daughter, Helen Rivera, she's a single mom raising a beautiful 16-year-old daughter, Elena. She's very close to her grandma, Angie. She goes every Saturday morning over to grandma's house to help clean and, straighten up grandma's apartment. They then have breakfast. They go shopping at the local stores in the neighborhood. I tell you what, it's a good thing. Angie lives in an apartment building near the town center, and there are many locally run mom and pop type stores that still thrive and are still working and servicing the neighborhood. So, Angie, there she was, living her life like we all do. Not perfect, nothing is, but in these years, her golden years, everything was going pretty well. And that's when life happened. Angie felt some pain in her lower back. At first, it was just, every now and again, but it got worse as the months went by. So her daughter took her to her first doctor visit. That was the first of several trips to the doctor's office and to the hospital, for testing and all. Then a little while later on that nightmarish day, her doctor, Leo Goodman, spoke to her.
Miss Angie Diaz, how are you today? How are you dealing with the lower back pain? Do you feel any better with the new drugs I prescribed to you? Well, I have the results from the last medical test, and it hurts me to tell you that the tumor is still growing and starting to spread throughout your body. I'm sorry, but this isn't the good news I'd hoped to tell you. So we'll continue with the chemo treatments and hope for better results. Also, I see your daughter has taken you here today. Can I call her in so we can talk? Helen, how are you today? I just wanted to fill you in on your mom's treatments. I feel you two should talk and come up with a plan. With your mom's permission, I can answer any medical questions you may have, but I believe your mom will need your help. She will she will not be as strong as she used to be. You may want to consider having her living with you, so she's not alone. Anyway, I just wanted to say you should talk to your mom.
I will talk to her, Dr. Goodman. But you know my mom. She loves her apartment and neighborhood friends. She has been involved with her community her entire life. She has been a community leader for years. She even started their neighborhood watch program. And for the past decade, she has always volunteered at the local soup kitchen. There are a lot of hungry people living on the streets these days, so it will be hard for her to walk away from her neighborhood and come live with me. I do know her granddaughter Elena would be happy. She loves her granddaughter so much.
Helen, it doesn't matter how your mom feels. I'm telling you that these chemo treatments are going to be brutal. Your mom is going to war. She is going to need someone to be here with her, and it's going to get rough. She cannot be alone.
I'm scared for us all. My mom knows this, and we all remember how bad it was when my dad got sick. It's like reliving that nightmare. No matter what I say, she may not want Elena to see her sick and put her through this sadness. But I promise to try my best to convince her to move in with us.
Well, the weeks passed by, and Helen finally had the chance to talk frankly to her mom, Angie. But just as she said, and like she knew, her mom was not at all ready to move away from the only life she knew. Since Angie'd lost her husband, Louis, to a heart attack a few years back, she became more driven to make a difference in her community, while she still could. Her neighborhood was changing. She noticed more homeless people were gathering by the park. The soup kitchen line was getting longer, and the community, again, overall, was changing. She decided to get with a local city councilman to see what could be done, to improve the neighborhood some. She met with Councilman Ernest Verne.
Hi, Mrs. Angel Diaz. I'm happy to see you this morning. Now, I understand you want to talk about your neighborhood. I heard you're a community leader there and have done some great things. Your neighbors are indeed lucky to have you living here. So, how can I help you?
Well, as you can see, I'm getting up in age. So I want to help bring back the neighborhood I grew up in. I have noticed so many homeless people gathered in our community, and our food pantry runs out of food every week because of all the hungry that line up. I know these aren't the best of times, but we need to do something. I want to help.
Now, Mrs. Diaz, that is a beautiful and loving thing you want to do. But what you're seeing is a big city and state problem. This is happening everywhere. People need help. Everyone has a different story of how they ended up on a soup line. Now, our city facilities are overflowing with these homeless people. That's why I'm fighting for federal money to address this problem. Now, there's an old abandoned school just blocks from you that I'm trying to have that city turn into a facility that can house, feed, and medically treat these abandoned people. Because this problem is so big right now, I suggest you just continue helping out at the soup kitchen and treating these people with respect.
Angie felt frustrated a little bit from, her meeting with Councilman Verne, as she knew her neighborhood would continue changing and maybe even get worse. She was just a bit sad thinking of the future of her community. She also knew that her health issues would likely force her to leave and go live with her daughter and granddaughter. As the weeks passed by, she became a little glum, a little depressed, and in her mind, thinking she was a bit useless. Then one day, she went for a walk, sat down on a bench at that local park I mentioned a few minutes ago. That's when she met up with Wanda Lawson.
Hi, Angie. How you feeling today? It's a beautiful sunny day, isn't it? Look at all the birds flying around. I had a leftover box of cookies, so I threw them all over the place, and that's why they keep flying by.
My memory is starting to go. Who are you? Do I know you from somewhere? You do look so familiar.
Oh, yes, you do, child. Angie, don't you remember me? I'm Wanda Larson, your old schoolmate from First Avenue School. We went to grammar school together. I know we're older, but you don't recognize me. I reckon you recognize you. We played together all the time.
I do now remember you. What a pleasant surprise after all these years to run into an old school friend. How you doing? I remember you were always smiling and laughing a lot in school. Where have you been living? I haven't seen you since we all graduated.
Well, honey, we moved away since then. My father, he was in the service, so we traveled a lot. Then both my parents, bless their hearts, passed on, and I've lived alone ever since. I never got married or had kids. I worked and then, after retiring, decided to move back to my old neighborhood.
Well, so welcome back. I am so glad I sat down to catch my breath and ran into you. We were such good friends back then. However, I have to leave. I am on my way to our local soup kitchen. I volunteered to cook and serve food to the homeless there. It's my way of helping our neighbors. Here's my address and cell phone number. We have to get together. I live near here. I will have you over for dinner. It feels good to meet up with an old schoolmate. You see, this is what I mean by the neighborhood is changing. Look over by that bench. There's a shopping cart filled with plastic bags. That must belong to a homeless person. They keep all their possessions in that shopping cart. Wanda, our neighborhood isn't how we remember it anymore. It's changing fast. I must go. Bye.
Angie worked for hours at the soup kitchen that day, and as she left, she grabbed a blanket and some food. She keeps thinking of that shopping cart filled with plastic bags of someone's possession. She then walks by the park to see if that shopping cart's still there. She does see the shopping cart by that bench and sees a woman lying on the bench next to it. She walks up to the woman, puts the blanket on her, and puts food on the bench. There you go. She then walks home. All that night and throughout the night, Angie wakes up because that homeless person keeps coming to mind, peering in her head, so to speak. She's met many homeless folks at the soup kitchen, but seeing that person sleeping on the park bench really, really got to her. So the next day, Angie goes and visits another old friend, William Tyson. He owns the local deli, down the end of the block.
Mrs. Angie Diaz, good to see you this morning. Are you having your usual soft-boiled eggs with fried spam? Let's sit together and have a good breakfast. Tell me what's happening. I know you are up on everything happening in this neighborhood. And how's your health? I just went to see Dr. Goodman, and Paula, his receptionist, said I just missed you. That Paula is a real big mouth. She has some nerve telling you I was just there. Do I go around telling people I saw her getting her hair dyed purple? I swear that girl looks like a rainbow, always coloring her hair in different colors. What is the world coming to? Angie, are you jealous? I remember all the hairstyles you had. These young girls have nothing on you. So how you feeling? How was your doctor's visit? Me with my diabetes, he tells me all the time that I have to lose more weight and eat healthy. I own a deli. I'm eating all day and cooking. How can I possibly lose any weight? Well, be happy. He's not telling you to go live with your daughter. He's telling me that I need to live with someone so they can look after me. It seems like all day I do is take more pills and get sicker. I know, William, how you cared for your wife when she was undergoing chemo treatments. I remember how hard it was on you. You almost lost the deli, being by her side every day. You are a good man. But how can I move in with my daughter and granddaughter and put them through that? I don't want to be a burden on them. You know how these treatments make you feel. But Angie, how can you be alone? It's only going to get worse. You're going to need someone one day to help. You have to think about that. This is always the way it is when your loved one dies first. You are left by yourself, and no one wants to burden their children with caring for them. But that's all we have. Well, maybe one day I won't be alone. Also, is there any food that you can spare? I saw this homeless woman in the park last night. I gave her a bag of food, but it wasn't much. Do you have any leftovers I can bring to her? Angie, I usually throw away any dented cans of food I get delivered. No one buys soup cans that are dented. So let's dent some cans and fill a nice grocery bag for her. I'll make her some lovely eggs with fried spam.
Angie takes the grocery bag with her and looks for that homeless woman who was sleeping on the park bench. Maybe she's back there again. She searches all over the park, couldn't find her. It was almost as if she disappeared. So she went over to the soup kitchen once again to help out, like she does. She figured she'd walk through the park and might see the woman later on. She usually works in the kitchen preparing the meals that are given to the homeless, but this day she was working up front, handing out the meals. And that's when life happened again. She handed a hot meal to a woman whose face was covered by a scarf. The woman reached into a plastic bag and handed her back a blanket. Angie then spoke to her.
Miss, please keep the blanket. It's yours. We give it to you to stay warm. We don't want it back. Do you understand me?
Oh, I understand. Oh, clearly I understand, but this shelter didn't give it to me. Someone laid it on me last night while I was sleeping, and I wanted to return it because it is not mine.
Were you sleeping on a park bench last night? Because I laid down a blanket on a woman. Are you that woman?
Yeah, I'm that woman, Angie. I'm sorry.
Sorry? What do you mean? Sorry for what?
At that moment, the lady's scarf fell off of her face by accident. No words were spoken for a moment, like a pregnant pause. Angie just smiled at her and handed the woman back the blanket. The woman turned around and walked out of the shelter. That night, when everything was over, Angie walked through the park looking for that homeless woman again. She carried that bag of groceries that she got from William Tyson, the deli owner. Angie saw that shopping cart filled with all the plastic bags, and that woman was lying on the park bench right beside it. This time, instead of leaving the bag of groceries on the park bench next to the woman, she stood there and woke her up.
It's pretty cold out tonight, Miss Wanda Lawson. I just want I just went grocery shopping and plan on cooking a good dinner. Any chance an old schoolmate would like to join me? This grocery bag is too heavy for me to carry, Wanda. So I'm going to put it in your shopping cart so we can push it to my place.
It would be nice to talk about all the good times with a friend. Are you sure I'm welcome? Please, please, child, don't feel sorry for me.
I'm just seeing an old friend who is bringing a smile to my face. I can't tell you how many times I sat on that bench and wanted to lie down myself.
Well, you see what I've become, right? I'm homeless and by myself. I don't have 2 nickels to rub together. I have nothing.
You have me. I'm your old school friend, and friends don't judge each other. I don't care what you have become. I care that you are here, and I have a grocery bag filled with dented cans of food that would make the best dinner I have ever had, and that's because I'm going to eat it with you. It's great that we 2 old friends are meeting again. Believe me, we both need each other. I am offering you my helping hand. Let's forget what we are today and live for tomorrow. Friendships last forever.
And indeed, they truly do, or at least they can. Hey, that's our Helping Hand show for today, folks. We do hope you enjoyed it. Helping Hand, as always, was created and conceived by Joel Emil, who was also the writer of our episode here today. Here are the actors, rather, and the characters they played. Sean Cooper, he played Dr. Leo Goodman. Eric Riggs played Councilman Ernest Verne. Joel Emil played Mrs. Angie Diaz. Christian Geron played Helen Rivera. Ryan Evans played Angie's school friend, Wanda Lawson. Very good, by the way. And Joel Emil, once again, he played deli owner William Tyson. As always, the Helping Hand Show wants to give out a big thank you to our friend Gino DiPiero of HamiltonRadio.net. Gino's our producer and our recording engineer. We thank you, Gino. And me, of course, I'm John Thielen. I'm your buddy, your pal, your host and narrator. So don't forget, as always, remember, keep the faith, never give up, don't ever give up. Your opportunity for positivity and success, it's closer than you think. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you next time on Helping Hand. So long.